go. Okay. Number 1. State the number of possible triangles that can be formed using the given measurements. So the measure of angle B is 127 degrees, A is 9, B is 17. The difference with these is this is involving two sides and an angle. Alright, so if they ever give you two angles like they did last night in homework, you do not need to worry about this. You're only worried about this when they give you two sides and an angle. So, suggestion number 1, you draw yourself a triangle. Suggestion number 2, place the angle they give you in the lower left corner. And then label that with its measurement, which is 127 degrees. The side opposite it with the same letter, although not capital, will be labeled there. The remaining side they give you, I would label on the left, 9, and label the opposite angle. So we got that. Okay. Make sense? Okay, so law of sines kicks in. We're going to take the 17, put it over the sine of 127. We're going to take the 9 and put it over the sine of A. Okay. Make sense? We're going to cross multiply. 9 times what? Sine of 127. Gives us that decimal. We're then going to divide that by 17. I get 0.4228 approximately. So the sine of A is approximately 0.4228. Now beginning of the year kicks in, we're going to work backwards. We're going to hit second sine. And we're either going to put in the 0.4228 approximation, or we can hit the arrow up, highlight it, hit enter, and it'll automatically bring it down. And it gives us our angle, which is about what? 25 degrees. All right, 25 degrees. Okay, now, here's the thought process. Okay, here's the thought process, and we'll draw it out for you. So on the unit circle, here's 25 degrees, approximately. All right? You have to remember that 180 minus that, which would be 155 degrees, also has that same sign value. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, with this problem, we don't have to worry about it. Because in this problem, B is obtuse. It's got to be the biggest angle. So it is impossible for us to have a 155 degree angle. Because the angle of the triangle would then be what? Greater than 180. So when this angle is obtuse, then we have to worry about two things, whether there's 0 or 1 solution. So since this one works and I got an angle, ladies and gentlemen, that is an example of one that has one possible triangle. That is one that has one possible triangle. Boom. Seem good? So I'm going to slide over to number 2. Again, they're giving me two sides and an angle. I'm going to put the 80 degrees there, the 36 there. I'm going to put the 23 here and put C there. I take the 36, I put it over the sine of what angle? What's opposite the 36? 80. I then take the 23 and put it over the sine of the angle we're trying to get, which is C. When I multiply, sine 80 is going to get multiplied by what? When I cross multiply, what am I multiplying sine 80 by? 23. What am I going to divide that by then? Good. So 23 sine 80 divided by 36. Sine C is approximately 0.6292. Second sine, 0.6292 if I choose to just put that in, and I get about 39 degrees. So this is 39. In your head, when you're in this situation, you should always subtract from what? 180. This becomes 141. Well, if that's 141 and that's 80, I got 221. Can't happen, right? Because the angles have to be less than or equal to what? 180. So therefore, that is another one that has how many solutions? One. So it's got one possible triangle. Good so far? All right, let's go down a little bit to 3 and 4. All right. So number 3, the measure of angle B is 36 degrees, A is 33, B is 22. So I got my triangle, my 36 degrees with my 22, my 33, and my A. Do me a favor, take about a minute and a half, 2 minutes to find the sine of A. Everybody good with that ratio? 22 over sine 36 equals 33 over sine A? Everybody good with sine A being approximately 0.8817? When you do second sine at that point, the calculator will give you 61.8 degrees. You take that angle and you subtract from what? 180, you get 118.2. So 61.8 is definitely going to work. One of them is definitely going to work, provided the sine works. We'll talk about that in a second. But would 118.2 also work? Yes. So when both the angle you get with the calculator and its supplement work, you have how many possible solutions? 2. So that is one where there is 2 possible triangles. Make sense? All right, now number 4. Number 4. First off, understanding the magnitude of numbers in triangle inequality. The longest side is opposite the longest angle. So I have B at 73 and little b at 5. Would you say that A is significantly bigger than side B? Since it's over 5 times as big. Yes. Does that mean that angle A is most likely going to be bigger than B? Yes, and because it's significantly bigger, does it make sense it's going to be a little bit bigger than it normally would be? Yeah, so that's a warning sign about what's to come. So now I have B is 73 degrees, putting the 5 miles opposite that, the 28 miles there, and then the capital A there. All right, 28 over sine A equals 5 over the sine of 73. 28 sine 73 gives us 26.77. Divide that by 5, and we get sine A approximately 5.4. Make sense? Sine cannot be greater than 1. When you're working with the calculator and you get that, when your sine is greater than 1, you know you have no possible triangle. Because if you go to your calculator and try and hit second sine in that value, the calculator correctly will give you an error message. Because it cannot be that big. So when you have no solution somewhere along the way, you're going to get a sine value that is greater than 1. Alright? And that's what it breaks down to. Sound good? Alright, now, if we scroll on down to number 5. We scroll on down to number 5. Solve each triangle, round your answer to the nearest tenth. Solve each triangle, round your answer to the nearest tenth. Okay. Now, please use this as a warning. In this problem, they give you 2 angles. Everything we just did plays no part in this whatsoever. This goes back to last night. And you're just doing law of sine. So I have my triangle. There's my A, which is 7 degrees, with my 5 kilometers opposite it. There's my B, which is 49 degrees. There's C. To get angle C, what am I going to do with 7.9? Subtract from 180, and I get 124. I'm going to take my 5 over sine 7 degrees, put it in the middle. Over here, I'm going to put B over the sine of 40.